Procedures aren't coming, I think.
No.
Welcome, everyone, to the first meeting of 2024. We have a few firsts here. We have our new city manager, Beth Beatty, who will be moving into her first year as the city manager. We have our mayor, Terry Darcy, who has his first full year coming up as our mayor. And on a small note, first time for me to be the pro temp this year. With all that said, welcome to the January 2nd combined meeting of the Joliet City Council, preceded by Terry Darcy, Mayor.
Thank you.
The invocation will be read by Father Chris Grow this morning from St. Mary Magdalene, St. Bernard's Catholic Church, 127 South Briggs Street, after which he will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Thank you, Krista, for the help.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you give us your generous gifts in abundance, and we are most grateful for all that you continue to do for us and for the many favors you grant. We gather in your name and we ask your presence. May everything that we do throughout our lives begin with your inspiration and your wisdom. God of wisdom and justice, through you all authority is rightly administered, laws are enacted, and judgments are decreed. Throughout this new year, guide and support our mayor, members of our city council, our city manager, and members of our city staff. Give them the strength to know your will, so that all decisions may be pleasing to you. May their work be conducted with righteousness, and may they always promote what is for the good and welfare of the citizens of Joliet. We likewise commend to your care all of the residents of the city of Joliet, that they too may be blessed and sanctified, so that together we may all work for the betterment of our community and enjoy the blessings promised to those who remain ever faithful to you. For we pray to you, who are our Lord and God, now and forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Father. Thank you so much.
Father Chris, Happy New Year.
Good job, Father.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Cardenas, absent. Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilman Guerrero, absent. Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Did have several people sign up this evening, so I'll announce 2 names at a time. If you can stand in the aisle and wait your turn for the next calling. First is Glenda McCollum and Nona Parker.
Can I remind everyone, please, that it's a 4-minute limit, and you'll see the clock up on the screen there. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and Happy New Year to you all. I just wanted to speak on the ordinance that I believe is coming up for a vote today, and just want to commend you all for being proactive and taking steps to ensure that our community is safe in terms of the amendment that's being added to Chapter 19 that's going to speak to the unscheduled buses carrying passengers that are coming from other places illegally. We all know what it's all about, and I am in complete agreement that we want to guard our city. We are seeing what's happening in other cities around us. We're seeing what's happening in Chicago, and this border crisis is much more than a crisis. It's an epidemic, and it's hitting every area of our cities and our towns, and just really appreciate you all taking the initiative to ensure that our city remains safe and that we don't have an influx and an overflow of individuals that are coming in illegally and taking the resources that are so necessary and so needed for the citizens that are already here. On a daily basis, I speak with individuals who are calling, looking for places to reside, individuals who are sleeping in their cars, individuals who kids don't have anywhere to go, wait lists that are more than a year long. These are residents who are lifelong, who have been here, who have paid into our city, and who have a responsibility or have a right to those services before individuals have a right to those services who are not a part of our city and who have not been vetted as a part of, legally, a part of our city. So again, I commend you. The other thing that I'd like to see is, and I'm sure that you probably cannot answer that tonight, but to find out how this thing will be monitored. We can pass ordinances, we can put things in place, but then the reinforcement of those things and the monitoring of those things is going to be very, very key. We have many drop-off points that could happen around the city, and I would like to see something that would be addressed as to how this whole thing will be monitored in terms of buses coming in, unscheduled buses coming in. So thank you for hearing me, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to allow us as citizens to come and make comment on the things that are on the agenda. I am specifically also, as Dr. Glenda stated, wanting to make comment concerning the buses and the unloading of those buses and the monitoring of those buses. We are all very much aware of the problems that we've seen in the city of Chicago. And I don't want to speak again, just saying the same thing that Dr. Glenda said. However, I do also want to ask that this council would consider, as this amendment is a starting place to kind of make sure that our city is safe and that we can somewhat oversee what's going on. I do want to ask that this council will consider this as just a starting place. This ordinance is a great ordinance, but it still has some gaps and it still has some open places that I think might lend for some things to happen that we don't really want to see happen. And, you know, there's an elephant in the room, and I'm going to take the opportunity to address that elephant in the room. We, the citizens of Joliet, do not want to become a sanctuary city. We have no problem with helping people, but our first rule should be to help those who are already here, not those who are yet to come. And until we can adequately help those that are here and that are suffering, I don't think it's fair for the citizens of the city to have to suffer under what we're seeing happening in other locations. And so, again, I do thank you all for addressing it, because I know there are many communities that are not, and we do appreciate that fact. However, looking at this ordinance, again, I've read over it quite a few times. And I am a little bit concerned with the lack of language that says how it's going to be monitored. We understand who's going to monitor it, but how it's going to be monitored. And also not really addressing what happens if we have buses in the alleys that we don't see. How are we going to address that? And so, again, thank you for the time, for being able to speak to you guys, for addressing this issue. We really do appreciate it, and thank you for caring about our city. Have a good year.
Thank you.
Jen Monson and Katie Dean Schlotman.
Good evening. My name is Jen Monson, like was said, and I'm running for office seeking a seat in the 43rd Senate District, which is Joliet, and that's why I'm here to represent the voices of those who live in Joliet and the Joliet community. I am here also in support of the ordinance and making the amendment to the ordinance. Taxpayer dollars need to stay here to help the citizens in this community. Non-citizens who could potentially be illegally dropped off here in our city would take up resources and other valuable services that are in place for the citizens of Joliet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, Happy New Year, Council and Mayor. It's great to see you all. My name is Katie Dean Schlotman, and I am here also to tell you I am in support of this ordinance that you are here to pass today. I am a resident of Joliet, and I am gravely curious as to how we would take in these non-citizens and put them over the needs of the citizens that we have here that are in need. We have veterans that are homeless. We have our own homeless problem of people who aren't veterans. And we need to also remember that we are always here to represent the people who pay our salaries, our taxpayers. So I commend this board and you, Mayor, for putting this forward so that we can keep our citizens safe. The bigger issues that come along with non-citizens that are not vetted coming into our communities, or we don't know their criminal backgrounds, what they are bringing into that, we have no clue. And with that being said, the safety of our own citizens and our children, we have people who could be going into the schools who may not even be school aged. We have no way to check their age. So you could have 18, 19, 20-year-old men claiming they are 16 and 17 and infiltrating into our school districts. I have a son who is in high school. He's on the autism spectrum. This concerns me gravely, thinking about the fact that there could be people entering into our schools like this. So while this ordinance is a good start, and I believe that the people up here have every intention of supporting the citizens of Joliet, I also think that we need to have a bigger discussion with how we are going to keep not only the citizens safe, but making sure that when non-citizens are trying to illegally come into our communities, how we can also help the other entities make sure that they are not infiltrating into places of innocence, such as our schools. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm very excited about this ordinance, but I also think that this opens up a conversation for the city of Joliet, for the Will County and the Will County Board to have discussions about how we can further keep the citizens, not only of Joliet, but further out into Will County safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tina McGrath and Gianna Barome.
Hello, Happy New Year, everyone. So I just want to echo what's already been said. I don't need to repeat it. What I do want to point out is that I am a member of Moms for America, and we sponsored a family at Christmas time. It was a mom and 4 kids, and we made sure that they had a beautiful Christmas. This was they were very needy. Their Christmas list was so humble that it literally brought me to tears. They asked for blankets, toothpaste, winter coats, gloves. We spoiled this family rotten. And I was able to reach out to my mom's members, and we made sure these kids got toys, clothes, they were set for school, they had toiletries, and they had everything else on their meager list. What that makes me want to bring everybody's focus to is how much need remains here with our citizens, our American citizens, who are struggling. Despite all the news we hear about our booming economy, we're not feeling that. There are families hurting, desperately hurting. And the moms that came together to help, we had an outpouring like you would not believe. People wanted to help so much. And it was touching, it was moving, and it made all of them say the same thing to me. We want to do more. We see this in our neighborhoods. We just don't know how to do it. We don't know where to start. Thank you for doing this. Our tax dollars need to be spent on our fellow citizens, period. And I'm so thankful that you guys have been really proactive. I recognize that you also see the problem and that you want to put the residents and the taxpayers of Joliet first. I applaud you for that. And like Katie said, there has to be more. We have to make sure that we're staying on top of this. We don't know. I heard a statistic today that up to 40% of these illegal immigrants have criminal records. Nobody knows. We don't know their names. We don't know what countries they come from. We don't know where they're being dropped off. This is a massive concern. I have a family member who passed from fentanyl that's pouring in over our porous border. Will County is a major hub for drug distribution. With all of our expressways that come through here, we're being used to spread it throughout the country. We know it's here. We know it's coming in across our southern border, and it's coming in with some of these illegal immigrants. We thank you for doing what you're doing. Please don't stop. Coordinate with surrounding communities and make sure we keep our city safe and our residents safe. Now, I also want to point out that for all you open border zealots, you can fill out an application to sponsor an immigrant and make sure that their bills are paid for the next 10 years. If you would like the application so you can sponsor them and take on that responsibility, I'm sitting right here. I'd be happy to give it to you. And God bless. Thank you guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Gianna Barone, Mayor Darcy and City Council members, on October 16, 2023, I was here to address the need for a policy to be put in place concerning the immigrant busing issue. At that time, I stated that more buses would be arriving, and here we are 3 months later with our city in turmoil. Thank you, Mayor Darcy, for keeping your word and submitting ordinance 725-23. It's imperative to approve it now. Please vote yes and keep our citizens' safety your #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Beth Gannon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You know, I'm glad the ordinance is coming, but I keep thinking about how our nurses from St. Joseph are coming here saying they're overburdened at the hospital. We have these illegal immigrants here. Are they going to take precedence over our citizens here when it comes to a need for a bed? I think about our police department, our fire department, our schools. And then I was also recently thinking about our county board that just recently passed a tax increase for us. People are struggling here, people who are residents and voters here. And I encourage you to pass this ordinance, but put some more teeth in it. And I don't know if you saw in the paper the other day, but I believe it was the Grundy County Sheriff said he's sending people to Joliet from these illegal drop-offs. We don't have the resources. Maybe they're getting on a train here to go somewhere else. Maybe they're just staying. We don't know that. I have a neighbor who lives near Jefferson and Reed Street, and he regularly sees these buses dropping off in the middle of the night along Jefferson Street. People getting out during the night when nobody's gonna notice. I also know somebody who lives near Jefferson and 59, same thing. And the buses have never stopped. I think a lot of people assume when Angel Contreras rescinded that grant that the buses weren't gonna come here, and they've never stopped. So please pass that ordinance and put some more teeth in it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item?
Well, my name's Doug Casper. I live here in Joliet. I am the chairperson for the Nonviolent City Project here in Joliet. And I got to kind of speak contrary to the rest of my fellow citizens here on this immigration issue. And it seems like there's a lot of misinformation as far as I'm concerned. First off, it's not illegal people that are coming. They're legally seeking asylum in our country. In my house, I've taken in as many as 19 asylum seekers over the last couple of years. I can tell you they've been all good people. It's forced migration by our U.S. foreign policy. There's no doubt about it. I think, you got to do that investigation. It is our U.S. foreign policy that is driving the people over here. Nobody wants to leave their own country of origin and their children behind and their family to escape the poverty and violence. We started out with a prayer in this gathering here. How about the prayer, you shall not oppress an alien, because we were all once aliens. Anyways, it's this humanitarian crisis that is going on. It's a crisis. It's not new. It's been here for a long time. It's not going away. We have to deal with it. We don't have the resources. I think, to me, denying the $8.6 million that was offered to us would have been go a long way to get the resources. We need to get the resources. We need to help people. People are all good people. Violence is needs unmet. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak?
Good evening, Council. Megan Cooper, Joliet. Mr. Mayor and Council, I applaud you guys for what you're doing. And I do agree with a lot of the ramifications that other people were stating up here. But I do have one question here. Who is monitoring the Spanish Community Center? We know that Joliet had illegal immigration here. The city of Joliet was not even aware of it. However, the Spanish Community Center was. They were a major component in this grant for the $8.6 million. So this right here is not going to get us to where we need to be. If we don't start looking at some of these entities that's welcoming people with open arms, regardless of how the majority of Joliet feels and how the city council feels as well. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. Tonight, the mayor is recommending Damon Zunich be appointed to the Joliet Regional Port District. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is council committee reports. Public Service Committee report.
Oh, public service, you went backwards.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And by the way,
Paper awake.
Krista,
Alphabetical.
it's night, it's
Go
not
ahead.
morning.
Go
I
ahead,
just realized that. Thank you.
All right. The Public Service Committee met today at 4:30 here in the council chambers. On the committee is myself, Councilman Mudrin, and Councilman Guerrero. In attendance was Councilman Mudrin and myself. We went through what looks at first blush to be a very lengthy agenda, but we don't need to go through 18 of these items. 18 of some 24 items were somewhat repetitive. These are the sealed bids that we vetted, as did staff when the sealed bids were submitted and opened for our next year's in 2024, this year, I'm sorry, we're 2 days into it, for all of our water projects. There's 18 of them. We're putting in, replacing 5% of pre-1970 water pipe every year. We went from 3 and we had to go to 5, which was smart from a maintenance standpoint, but also too, with our switchover in 2030 to Lake Michigan water, we needed to do this to reduce the water loss, water that's leaking from the system. So 18 of those items, we did look, myself and Councilman Mudron, we looked at them each individually, you know, and they ranged in their award as a sealed bid award from 1.9 million up to 8.5 million, and there's 18 of them. Other than that, what we did have is we had reviewed a bid for the continued sidewalk vault improvements, which is all part of the vaults that exist downtown, specifically along Chicago Street, with the Chicago Street redevelopment and improvements. These vaults are what they sound like, big empty spaces underneath the ground. So they need to be mediated or filled, remediated, I should say, or filled. So we looked at that, and that was a contract for just shy of 1.9 million. All the contracts, like I said, were individually vetted. We did look at a purchase of four trucks, Ford Expeditions, 3 from Durazio Ford and 1 from Ron Terrapelli Ford for the fire department. And it is within the budget on the vehicles capital budget. We looked at 4 items under change orders, pay estimates. Again, fairly routine. And we looked at ordinance and resolutions, and that tends to generally be housekeeping. In other words, you have to pass ordinances to fund the items that you would recommend for approval under contracts or even under change orders. So it was fairly routine, lengthy, but routine. Myself and Councilman Mudron, we looked at all the items. We found them all to be completely in order, and all the items were sent forward to this council with our unanimous vote to approve. Did I miss anything, Pat?
No.
It was lengthy, wasn't it?
Yes,
Could
it
you
was.
repeat that?
Yes. I can go one by one through all 18
No,
if you'd
stop,
like. So that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Public Safety Committee report.
Okay, Public Safety met tonight here in council chambers at 6 o'clock. We had a very short agenda and a very short meeting. And on that committee is Councilwoman Sherry Reardon and Councilman Joe Clement and myself, Jan Quillman. We discussed the standardization of fire turnout gear, request to approve the purchase of 3 Ford Expeditions from D'Orozio for $178,560.78. And request to approve the purchase of 1 transit passenger van from Ron Terrapelli Ford for $55,810.22. I asked Mr. Price, he could not stay today, but if you have any questions about these purchases, Mr. Ruddy will be happy to explain if anybody has a quick question. Seeing none, we approved unanimously to send it to the city council next, I think it's the next meeting. We had no ordinances, and then we had a resolution for a memorandum of understanding between the Joliet Police Department and the City of Aurora Police Department regarding the use of National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, also known as NIBIN or NIBIN. So we also passed unanimously to send that to the city council. And does anybody have any questions about that? Because the chief is here also to answer any questions on that. And seeing no questions, we had no new or old business and no public comments. It was a very quick meeting, like I said. So happy New Year, everybody. And anything else you have to add, Joe or Sherry?
No, thank you.
That concludes our report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, before we move on, Greg, do we have, and I don't mean having residents look at each individual contract and going through, do we have somewhere on our website where they can see the list of the water projects, these and any other ones next year? And if not, can you look into IT putting some kind of a list together, just so everybody knows their neighborhood's gonna be on that repair?
I believe there is. That's a question probably better answered by Tony, answered from public utilities.
Oh, I'm sorry, why am I asking you? Thank you.
And
Tony?
Ruddy's my guy.
Yes, there you go.
Yes, we have, we have a live GIS map that shows the status of all the projects and the locations, and then we have static PDFs that can be downloaded as well too. So I
Okay.
can send you a link to that.
So where would they go on the website to find this?
Sure, it's joliet.gov/construction-zone.com.
Okay, so there you go. If you want to know if you're one of the 18, and these are just these 18, but any of the projects which have really blossomed in the last several years, go where Tony had directed you to go, and you can look up to see if you're going to. That way you know the inconvenience as well as the benefit that you're going to get this summer and this construction season. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on December 18th, 2023, and the minutes of the council meeting held on December 19th, 2023 stand approved as recorded. Invoices to be paid. It's recommended this report be approved. Council Memo 700-23, award of contract for the sidewalk vault improvements, 102 North Chicago Street, 175 North Chicago Street, and 2 Clinton Street to Lindblad Construction in the amount of $1,855,941. Council Memo 701-23, award of professional services agreement for the Phase 3 engineering services for the Chicago Street Sidewalk Vault Contract 2 to Civil Tech Engineering in the amount of $118,625. Council Memo 702-23, award of professional services agreement for pre-treatment assistance to Baxter and Woodman in the amount of $74,444.54. Council Memo 703-23, approve the purchase of a 1 transit passenger van from Ron Tirapelli Ford in the amount of $55,810.22. Council Memo 704-23, Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement for the Downtown Levee, United States Army Corps of Engineers, Section 205 improvements to Santa Cruz land acquisitions in an amount of $15,250, bringing the not-to-exceed total to $67,500. Council Memo 705-23, change order number 1 for Highland Phase 1 Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Austin Tyler Construction for final balancing of the contract in the amount of negative $215,505.19. Council Memo 706-23, change order number 1 for Black Road Acres Phase 1 Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Len Cox and Sons Excavating for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 707-23, change order number 1 for Collins Street Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Austin Tyler Construction for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 708-23, change order number 1 for Garnsey Park Phase 4 Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Austin Tyler Construction for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 709-23, change order number 1 for Joliet Street, Ottawa Street Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Trine Construction for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 710-23, change order number 1 for Curran Terrace Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Len Cox and Sons Excavating for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 711-23, change order number 1 for Midland Avenue East Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Benchmark Construction for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 712-23, change order number 1 for St. Pat's Phase 1A Water Main Improvement Project on behalf of Austin Tyler Construction for project completion time adjustments. Council Memo 713-23, change order number 1 for St. Pat's Phase 1B Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Construction by Camco for project completion time adjustments. And Council Memo 714-23, change order number 3 for Plainfield Road, Black Road to North Center Street Water Main Improvements Project on behalf of Trine Construction for project completion time adjustments. It's recommended Council Memo 700-23 through 714-23 be approved. Is there a motion to approve all said consent agenda items?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried. Licenses and permit applications. The Deputy Liquor Commissioner is here to give a brief overview of the next 3 liquor license items.
First one is item 716-23. This is an application for the issuance of a Class B liquor license at 751 North Hickory Street, Pollo Loco Latino. A Class B license allows for the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages on the premises. This location is a small restaurant in which to serve alcohol with their meals. The current owner has 24 years of experience in the sale of alcohol. The restaurant is still in the construction phase right now, and so if the license is approved, won't be issued until all final building and health inspections are approved, or are passed, excuse me. The Liquor Commissioner is recommending the approval of these licenses.
Is there a motion to approve a Class B liquor license for Pollo Loco Latino located at 751 North Hickory Street?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried.
The next one is item 717-23, also an application for the issuance of a Class B liquor license. This is located at 138 East Cass Street, El Rincon Latino. Once again, a Class B authorizes the service and sale of alcohol beverages on the premises. This location will be a small pool hall that will allow customers of 21 years of the age and over only. This applicant has 27 years in experience in the sales of alcohol. This location is also still in the construction phase, and therefore, if the license is approved, will not be issued until all the building and health code inspections have passed. The Liquor Commissioner is recommending the approval of this license.
Is there a motion to approve a Class B liquor license for El Rincon Latino located at 138 East Cass Street?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And lastly, item 718-23. This is an application for the transfer of a Class B liquor license at 2314 West Jefferson. It is the Red Crab Juicy Seafood Restaurant. Once again, Class B license authorizes the sale and consumption of alcohol beverages on the premises. The applicant here is the current manager who is wishing to take over ownership of this restaurant. It currently operates as a restaurant right now. And the Liquor Commissioner is recommending approval of this license.
So, question, Mayor. So just to be straight, they've been in business for about, what, 3 or 4 years now? And I know in the beginning they didn't have a license. It was a bring your own bottle in the very beginning. So the person now has been working there and wants to take it over, so the other person would be leaving. That's why they're transferring the license
Correct,
to
yeah,
that
the
person
current,
there.
he's been the manager there for about 2 years.
Okay, I
He's gonna
just wanted to
follow,
clarify
yes.
that. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the transfer of the Class B liquor license for Red Crab Juicy Seafood located at 2314 West Jefferson Street?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next is Council Memo 719-23, an application for a drive-through permit for an Abri Credit Union at 6050 Caton Farm Road. The petitioner is here if you have any questions. Staff is recommending the drive-through permit be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under public hearings, Council Memo 721-23, a public hearing proposing the establishment of the 2024 Joliet Special Service Area Number 1, Bridge Street, Nicholson Street to Center Street. Let the record show the hearing is now open and public comments would be in order at this time. Is there anyone that would like to speak under the public hearing this evening? Seeing none, is there a motion to continue the public hearing to the January 16th council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried. The public hearing is tabled to the January 16th council meeting. Next is Council Memo 722-23, a public hearing proposing the establishment of the 2024 Joliet Special Service Area Number 2, Adela Avenue, Washington Street to 2nd Avenue, and 2nd Avenue, Adela Avenue to Court Street. Let the record show the hearing is now open and public comments are in order at this time. Is there anyone present that would like to speak under this public hearing? Seeing none, is there a motion to continue the public hearing to the January 16th council meeting?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Councilwoman Navarra.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Before I vote, just so, because we didn't have a pre-council. All this is, folks, everybody watching, is every year we do a number of different neighborhoods where we do curb and gutter improvements as well as resurfacings, and they are special services areas. It is partial participation by homeowners. If you're a owner-occupied home, for instance, it's $300 maximum to go towards it. So that's what the special service area is for. We do this routinely every year. I just wanted to explain that so people understand what we're doing here. And aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried. The public hearing is tabled to the January 16th council meeting. Moving on, under ordinances, Council Memo 724-23, an ordinance amending the 2024 annual budget for the sidewalk vault improvements, 102 North Chicago Street, 176 North Chicago Street, and 2 Clinton Street in the amount of $400,000. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilwoman Navarra.
Aye.
Mayor Darcy.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 725-23, an ordinance amending sections of Chapter 19 to address unscheduled intercity bus drop-offs and impoundment of vehicles used in violation of the code. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted. I would defer to our Corporation Counsel, Chris Regis, to give a brief overview.
Okay, hi, everyone. Happy New Year. So, a little bit before Christmas, I was approached by the city manager, and we talked about current events and the concern about unscheduled bus drop-offs in the city, especially during the cold months. These unscheduled bus drop-offs are problematic, and they cause concern with us because they do put an undue burden on our city resources and a burden on our community at large, and they're not humane to the people who are on the buses, once again, especially during the cold weather months. So what this ordinance seeks to do is regulate or restrict unscheduled intercity drop-offs. So they're unscheduled in the sense that they're not subject to a regular schedule that somebody can maybe buy a ticket for, or maybe look on the internet and see that this bus company is regularly coming and going. These are one-time drop-offs that companies are engaged in. They're unscheduled. They're also intercity. They originate outside the city of Joliet. And again, they're dropping off. There's no round service component to these trips. And all three of those elements put together do create a problem for everyone. And I do mean everyone. So under the proposed regulatory framework, and this is really not uncommon to what other towns are doing right now to address the common problem that we all have, an application must be made to the chief of police in order to seek approval for one. And I've been assured by the chief that his staff is already working on this application. The bus company seeking permission for an unscheduled bus drop-off must provide a background check and a list of names for everybody who is on that bus and who is scheduled to be dropped off in the community. If those needs are met, the police chief can schedule a date, a time, and a location for that unscheduled drop-off, so that scheduled drop-off can be monitored and we can make sure that everyone is on their way to the next phase of their journey, wherever it is that they're going, and nobody's loitering around or lingering or anything like that. If the bus company does not meet the requirements of the scheduled drop-off time, date, and location, then their application becomes invalid. And They will not be allowed to make the unscheduled drop-off. If any drop-off is made in violation of the ordinance, the bus company is subject to a fine of up to $750 per passenger and impoundment of that vehicle, being the bus. Please keep in mind, this does not apply to school field trips. This does not apply to school-sponsored athletic tournaments. This does not apply to professional sports teams coming to the town to play our professional sports team. Doesn't apply to round-trip services to local tourist facilities either. Again, the key element is round trip. These are not round trip. Are there any questions, anyone? I got to talk to the council. You can't.
I want to make a comment real quick about all this. We have been monitoring this for a long time. The city manager and myself have spent several hours on the phone in situations where some of the other local communities have called us, and we've been working with the Will County Emergency Management Team. There is a place in Chicago, 800 Des Plaines, it's called the Landing Zone. That's where these asylum seekers will be processed, only there. We don't have the mechanism to do that, nor do we want to accept that. So we have been able to, through our emergency management team here and with the county, they're open 8 to 5:30. They've actually opened up for us so that those buses would pass through from those communities that they stopped at with the people and take them up there. So we've been able to keep that from happening in our community and some of our local communities. And we feel that this ordinance will keep us from having to deal with this. And all of our police officers in every zone in the city are well aware of how to handle the situation if a bus were to come into the city and even think about dropping off. Another thing I'd like to mention is if anyone sees a bus that looks like it could be doing that, we'd urge you to call 911. Our dispatchers are well aware of how to handle the situation. It would immediately go out to our first responders, and they would be at that location as soon as possible. So we have worked on a plan. We've engaged the plan. We've seen it work where through the county EMA, we've been able to move people from Tryon and Manhattan and Lockport and different places. So we're well aware of it and have spent a good amount of time putting something together to keep our community our community. That's my comment on that tonight.
You know, this problem is being created by our federal government, okay? They are creating this problem, and then we have other cities that are welcoming asylum seekers, accepting funds, and then now all of a sudden, now it's everybody else's problem because they don't want them now, right? So, which is wrong. We brought this up about the grant a few months ago, and you know, nobody knew what was going on. We found out people did know what was going on, you know. But Mayor, I support this ordinance. I think we could take it a step further. Like I said a few months ago, I think we need an ordinance that says to let everybody know that we are not a sanctuary city. This is step one, and I commend you for doing this, and our city manager. And hey, I don't mean to put you on the spot. You came from Chicago. Was there discussion? I mean, maybe you were part of this discussion, or you knew Chicago's plan. I'm not really sure. What is their plan? I mean, do you know what their plan? They're just going to continue to send these buses everywhere. I'm just trying to. I'm not saying that you were part of this at all. I'm just saying, you know, you came from Chicago. Is there any insight that you can give? There's a lot of people here. Maybe, you know, they want to hear from you if you knew anything or you know anything, or.
I just know from my experience that starting in October of 22, August of 2022, we received the first bus, and had the city of Chicago received the first bus, I should say, and had resources available, but have since, there's been like 10 buses a day that are being dropped off. They are spending roughly $40 million a month, trying to manage the situation. And Chicago is a welcoming city and is doing their best. Everyone is doing their best there to, you know, to welcome the asylum seekers and see what they can do. But as you said, it's a federal issue and needs federal attention. And, you know, the city has been begging the state for money, which the General Assembly and the governor have worked on some. But we just didn't want to see the same situation unfold here because we don't have the resources. So there's a big difference between the city of Chicago and the city of Joliet in our size and our resources on all levels of government. As far as what they're doing right now, I don't believe that they're sending buses. I haven't heard that they're sending buses to Joliet. No one's called me about that. No one's engaged me. But that, I just don't have firsthand knowledge of that. You know, I know buses are arriving, but I haven't gotten any intel they're coming from Chicago. They've been coming from the south and stopping because Chicago's had their own ordinance in place now and started impounding buses.
Well, thank you though. Thank you to the mayor and you for putting this together, and I think it's step one, so, but thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions, concerns, and I think I want to tell people that this ordinance is a first step, has been already stated, because we're gonna have to tweak it, because everybody's looking for, anywhere in life, for workarounds, right? The way I look at it, thank you, Councilman Clement, for pointing out that it is a federal, I think you stated the obvious. As a council, it's not our job to protect the country's borders. It's not our job to protect the state's borders. Apparently, nobody in the state or the country wants to do it, but it's not our job. It is our job to protect the borders of Joliet from dangerous situations. So, Mayor, again, thank you for getting this on. I do agree with it 100%. I have a question, Chris. The requirement that it be a scheduled route, right? Is there a workaround? Could somebody who's going to shuttle illegal people back and forth say, hey, we just posted it as a regularly scheduled route from Texas to Joliet? How would that affect this ordinance?
There is not a law in existence that there's not a workaround for.
Can we tighten that up? I mean, I hope we're gonna approve it tonight, but can we tighten that up somehow? It's something to look into, right? Let's be proactive and not wait till it happens. The last thing I'll say, and the mayor already covered it. The mayor already covered it. Several of you folks said, who's gonna have oversight? You, me, the citizens. Very few crimes are observed by the police. They're called to the crime scene by a witness. If it's 4:30 in the morning and you woke up in the middle of the night because of a bump in the night and you see suspicious activity, yeah, there's no standard coach line that's gonna be in an alley, somebody pointed out, at 2:30 in the morning, or any street at 3:30 in the morning. And the ordinance allows for drop-off, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, between the hours of 8 and 4?
It's, hold on. 9 and 5,
9
Monday
and
through
5, I'm
Friday.
sorry, thank you. So, when you see something like that, call 911, as the mayor had already instructed you. The police will go there, and that bus has to produce whatever the chief will be handing out, showing approval of his application, and if not, he's gonna have to pay the consequences, which also could go up to and include taking his bus. But the police there's only so many of them. We need to be vigilant, and when you see suspicious activity, don't hesitate to call. So with that said, thank you, Mayor, for the time.
I have one more comment. I've been listening to the naysayers, not only here, but outside as well. And I just have a few comments, stating the obvious. People already know, some people may not. But let me ask a few questions. Do you think it's humane to have folks being dropped off in the middle of the night where it's cold, they have no coats, nowhere to go, they don't know, no phones, nothing? Do you think it's humane that when they do finally find shelter, that they're sleeping in the floors of police departments or school floors or church floors with no food or comfortable beds? Do you think it's humane that, our people that are living here, our veterans, our homeless people that we have that have paid taxes, have nowhere to go? They're not getting everything free. They're not getting a phone. They're not getting free food. They're not getting free shelter, those that are getting that. It's just not right. And I don't believe that we are a non-caring community or city or state or even in our United States. I mean, we need to take care of people that came here years ago that are still waiting to get they came here legally and still waiting to get their work permits. And they still can't get them, and they're doing their best to survive. And overall, I don't know, I don't believe it was a true thing to entice these asylum seekers to say, yes, this is the land of milk and honey. But once you get here, you're on your own. And, you know, we can't speak the language. And people want to help, I understand that. But we can't keep giving away the store when we can't help our own people, especially our veterans that defended our country for our right to speak. So that's how I feel, Mayor, and I commend you for this ordinance. I know it needs some tweaking, but I don't see it as being mean. I think it's being humane to help these folks. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 725-23, an ordinance amending sections of Chapter 19 to address unscheduled intercity bus drop-offs and impoundment of vehicles used in violation of the code?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned, seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman?
Absolutely aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
And I would like to make the comment, I'm in full agreement with you, Councilman Clement, that we need to put down a proactive stance that we are not and will not be a sanctuary city. I do agree. Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 727-23, a resolution appointing and designating representatives to the Mayor's and Manager's Working Group for Regional Water Commission formation. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned, seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Yeah, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I want to thank the community for being here tonight on this issue on both sides. It's really important that we hear from you because we're here to serve you, all of us. And so taking the time out in the evening, taking your own time out to give us the feedback is invaluable. And I'm really looking forward to working with the council, the mayor, and the community, and with all of my staff who are amazing, and the coming year on all the issues that arise. That's all I have.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening? If you'd like to speak, I just ask that you stand in the aisle and then we'll take turns.
First of all, good evening. I'm glad you guys did address the points that I was going to make, but I was going to ask several questions because I was wondering how buses come. But first of all, let me just say this. We all want this United States to be a melting pot. But there's people that say we don't want them. There's people that say they're supposed to go here. We're supposed to be a melting pot. I don't know, it's either you do or you don't. Now, we know there's laws that say they can, and we know people will do. Now, you guys are upholding the law that says what we're going to do, and you're right. We see things before the police probably will see things. And that's what we all do as a community. And as opposed to the homeless people that's already existing here, has been existing in the United States, if they still homeless, because I can almost guarantee you, everyone in this room contributes every time we see someone homeless, and we doing our contributions. And if they're still homeless, then we did our part. You guys have to step up you guys' part of not just you guys, but the people in power have to step up their parts and do their due diligence. But I have to ask this question, and the monies that you will find them for each person on that bus, how long would it take to collect these monies, and where would that money be distributed to? And two, are these people, this is the question I want to ask, are these people allowed to register to vote and serve the United States military? Because that's what I would want to know, and I want them to be a part of it. If they're gonna be here, let them be a part of us, and we all are united together.
Staff can answer questions after the meeting.
Yeah,
Next.
thank you.
I just wanted to add one other thing. I know Rosemont and Schaumburg have already implemented policies that limit hotel stays for migrants. Anything after 30 days, they have to leave, and then the hotel faces significant fines. Just wondering if maybe that's something we should consider here in Joliet as well. I mean, there is a noticeable difference in the city. You see it when you go shopping. The migrants are here. We know they're here. Don't know where they're staying. We don't know if they're homeless, if they're in shelters. We also know, based on what the grant that we successfully were able to stop, there was wording in the grant that provided money provided attorneys to help expunge criminal records for asylum seekers so that their asylum would be granted. We know that there is an issue with criminals making it into the country illegally, and they're in our community. We need to be very proactive in every way we can. Please consider Schaumburg and Rosemont's policies, and maybe that's something we should do here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I just had a couple of things. One, in Council Memo 70323 about the transit passenger van, can anyone tell me what that van would be utilized for?
Jeff Carey, I think that's for the fire department, correct?
Yeah, that van's for our hazmat team. It was in the approved budget already. It's for, we right now have a bread truck. We pull 3 trailers, so that van is to pull the trailer and the members of our hazmat team.
Okay, thank you. And then one other thing, what would constitute an approved drop-off? If someone came in, they went by the rules according to what's laid out, what would constitute an approved drop-off point? And then how would that alleviate illegals still coming in if they do it according to the approved drop-off point? And where are our drop-offs? I mean, we don't have a bus station that houses or transport passengers. Within the city lines we do, but outside of the city. So what would constitute an approved drop-off point and the police department saying that, okay, yes, you're approved and you can drop off, and where does that leave us?
Staff can answer questions after the meeting.
I'm sorry?
I'll happy to answer your questions after the meeting.
Okay.
Stick
All
around,
right.
I'll talk to you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for passing that ordinance. And Mayor, I'm going to suggest to my friends that they do call because, like you guys said, you know, we need to report it first. Police can't be there all the time, and you're 100% correct. What I wanted to talk to you briefly about right now is not that long ago, a group of us who worked at the museum and the prison came to you for help. And we're still looking to see that IG report. And contrary to what Mr. Adamowski said, I have not seen that report. I just knew that you had it. And I knew that you had it because I know I'm in it. And my friends, one of my friends, after she came to council, she had her unemployment cut off by the museum because she came to council at that meeting. Not everyone else did, but she did. You know, she needs the money. She's a senior. It's not right. And I guarantee you those managers at the museum and the prison right now are yucking it up, thinking nothing's gonna happen and that everything's gonna get swept under the rug. In the meantime, I am also concerned about the artifacts at the museum. I can't tell you how many dumpsters we had there in the last year and a half, and really important things were thrown out. A bunch of us rescued them, and I'm happy to return them. I rescued them because I don't want to keep them. I'm keeping them so they didn't end up in a landfill. We had a mid-19th century map that ended up in the trash, several early scrapbooks, Things have disappeared from that museum, and then when I go to try to look up the records for them, the paperwork's gone. We need an audit there. We need an audit of the artifacts, and we need an audit of the books. Please, release that IG report. You can't give it to just one side and not the other. Thank you.
Oh, you guys know me, Kathy Garthis. I want to be like the face of all the unfortunate people in this country who have been homeless and have all things beyond their control, to where they've been forced to live out in the streets, be forced to live in poverty. I am a walking example of this. All my life, I have been struggling my whole life, from having crimes, violent crimes done against me, sexual harassment, rape, shot at, homeless, wrongful conviction. I've had so much happen to me. I have just been struggling every phase of my life, just trying to live, and every time I start to get my 2 feet underneath me, it gets shot down. And I'm just about to be evicted now. So I'm gonna be, again, another tragedy in my life. But it just gets me to where what the United States is doing, opening the borders to all these migrants and feeding these migrants and shelling and housing these migrants, putting clothes on their backs and everything. And they spend more on these migrants than they do these poor people that have got disabilities and that, and the homeless vets and everything. This is not the face of America, to be sitting there opening the borders to other countries and treating other people better than they do their own homeland people. I have been struggling my whole life. I'm gonna lose everything I got now in just a couple of weeks here. And again, I don't even know if I have the will to even go on and live anymore because of all the tragedies going on in my life. But hearing what these migrants get, how we take care of these migrants, and just skip over the American people is wrong. We need to be taking care of our own people first. We deserve to live before you guys do. I'm trying to live in my own country here and stay in my own country here. Unlike these migrants who chose to leave their own country and leave everything they have behind. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to live, and everything is being taken from me.
Hi, my name's Mike Pierce. I'm a 20-year resident. When I read this ordinance, I see it as an attack on American liberty. We can no longer ride a bus. It doesn't deal with commercial buses, from what I saw in the amendment. It doesn't deal with public buses. I'm sorry, with privately owned buses. That means somebody, let's say in the Timbers, decided they wanted to go to a casino and they didn't do it within your time frame. They are in violation of this ordinance. You really need to pin down what consists of a bus. How many people? There's nothing there. To me, it's also turning our police force into almost like the KGB, where they need to get information on everybody on a bus that's being dropped off. We can't drop people off Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, and if you're a sports fan and there's something going on, an event in Joliet, again, we'll probably be in violation of this ordinance. So what we have to do is take a look at how we can tweak this to not attack Americans and to solve the problem that we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Karen Ward, and I want to say thank you for passing this ordinance. I would also ask for it to, like many of you have said, to have more teeth. I did email today all of you about having stronger fines for the buses, as well as those enabling them. For me, I've seen a lot of people homeless, including veterans, survivors of domestic violence. I see that every day. I see people sleeping in parking garages, people sleeping in tents. And it also came to my attention recently that some of our slumlords, as I will call them, have pushed tenants out by raising their rent almost $1,000 immediately to get a migrant into their apartment and said, if you can't pay it, leave. And this was in the cathedral area. And now this lady with her children is living with a friend, doesn't have a place of her own. Soon she will be homeless again. So it's important to take care of people. Like someone said, it feels different now in Joliet because people are meaner in the stores. And a lot of people, the workers are more stressed because they're dealing with people that don't speak the language, and they are trying to help them. We are a caring city, a loving city, and we have to love ourselves enough to care for the people, the citizens of Joliet. Thank you.
Carl Wagner, my thought regarding what you're talking about buses, well, what if they do the workaround and they just use a van or somebody's car? I would agree with you that we need to do something more like you define, we're not a sanctuary city where we do not accept illegal aliens. You make it very, if you make it specific, because that's what the law is. Law is very technical. And if you just talk about buses, they'll do a workaround.
I hear everything. I just want to thank you guys for doing this and bringing this ordinance. I am so relieved, Mayor Darcy, because I told you I was going to hold you to it, and you came through. And I really believe that we could tweak it, and I hope you guys are open if certain things don't work, that we can tweak this ordinance, okay? Is that okay?
Yep.
But for now, I'm very happy that we're passing this tonight. Very, very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, next is mayor and council.
You got one more.
Sorry.
Larry Crawford, 613 North Hickory Street. Happy New Year, Council.
Happy New Year.
And welcome to you.
Thank you.
Say your name. Is it Beatty or Beatty?
Beatty.
Beatty.
Like Warren Beatty.
Yeah. Any relation?
I wish.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd be in California right now if that were the case.
Well, I'm glad that we're having this discussion, Mayor. Lots of things. Thanks, Ms. Cooper, for saying who's going to monitor the rules and the specs of a drop-off. That's a good question to ask, and I think you've sort of cleared it up. But there's going to be a lot of things when you start talking about tweaking this and really making it where it has some teeth in it in some fashion, Mr. Clement. And I see you have a great concern for that, and I appreciate that as well. But there's a lot of stating the obvious and a lot of rhetorical questions that are being posed. And so, but I think we've got to decide who decides who's on the buses. What if there's some people on the buses whose destination is Joliet? How do we decide, what's the intents of people on the bus? Are we to assume that they're all migrants trying to whatever their lot in life is. What if they live in Honey Grove, Texas, and just got on that bus and trying to get to Joliet, you know? Just being silly on one hand, but it's very serious. How do we determine who are those passengers on the bus? Who's going to impound the violators? And then if you impound the driver and in violation, what do you do with the passengers on the bus? Where do they go? And, you know, I hope that there will be, with all of that, you know, I really think that this is as significant and major as this issue is. I hope the bottom line for me is that it'll give us a greater awareness of the resources and services problems, which is already at a crisis place in Joliet. Forget about the other people who might come in and you're concerned about what we could do with them. Make sure that we continue to be mindful of the people who are here and dealing with, as that young lady came and talked about, I'm just, you know, I'm about to get, I've been raped and all of these kinds of things, and I'm a citizen. I've been here all my life. And here we are in Joliet, we're talking about being tapped out of resources. Do we have enough resources? I hope we have a greater awareness about having the resources to deal with the people who are here. And I just hope that this situation just kind of pushed us to that point where we'll manage that better.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
All right, I just want to make a couple comments quick, and that is, one, I do support the ordinance to stop these buses from coming in and dropping off. I'd like to just mention Joe Clement's comment on it's a federal issue, and Jan Coleman's comments on, you know, the people that are here and all that we're up against. But, you know, for myself, it doesn't go quite deep enough. It is our U.S. foreign policy. We have, you know, there's two things we deal with. We deal with the symptom. That's what we're dealing with all these people coming. But we have to deal with the cause. If we deal with the cause, we can effectively end it and deal with it rightly. Otherwise, it continues. But again, I guess I have to point to our U.S. foreign policy as the cause of why so many of these people are coming. And the other thing I just...
Council comments?
Not any comments, Mayor.
Happy New Year.
I want to thank everyone for coming. District 5, you never fail to amaze me, and so many of my District 5 residents are here. I want to remind everyone that, we have a procedure in place, but we rely heavily on all of you to be our eyes and ears on the streets. None of us can be everywhere 24 hours a day. I guarantee you, of all my 29,000 residents in District 5, I'm gonna hear about it from them before I ever hear about it in the newspapers, or by staff. I always hear it from residents first. So be vigilant. I'm guaranteeing you that one of you is gonna be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, walking your dog and see something. So if you see something, say something. I wanna commend the mayor and the city manager for working with Will County Emergency Management Agency to have a policy and a procedure in place. Call 911. Don't try and figure it out yourself, because that is what our professionals are here to do. The police are very well abreast. The fire department is very well abreast of how to handle this situation. So don't be afraid to call 911 if you think there is a bus and they're dropping off asylum seekers. Please, your eyes and ears on the streets. Also, this is a personal note, but I need an agency in Joliet because I had a murder victim's mother, Xavier Mendoza's mother, has knitted 100 hats to keep her hand and mind busy over this last year, and she's just looking for an agency that wants to take these hand knitted hats. So I'm hoping I can find an agency in Joliet that would love to take 100 hand knitted hats, all different colors. They're beautiful hats. I also want to point out the nurses' plight has not gotten any better. In fact, it has gotten so much worse. So thank you, Mary Beth Gannon, for saying that amidst everything else that's happening. These nurses really, really need our help, our voices, emails, call on the phone, do whatever you can to help these nurses. It's just terrible. It's the only hospital in Joliet, and it's just tanking. Doctors are leaving, oncologists are leaving. Like, this is a really serious situation. And then the last thing I want to say is that my mother is having surgery tomorrow, and I want to wish her all the best on her surgery. And thank you so much for being mayor and city manager, for being on the forefront of this crisis. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, everyone, for coming and participating. We appreciate it.
Well, I would be remiss, but I have to wish my husband a happy birthday. It was the 29th of December, and it's always at the end of a council year, and I never get to say happy birthday. So happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
And I also want to reiterate, thank you all for coming here tonight and supporting our decision, because we do the best we can. We're just like people like you are, ordinary. We have jobs and take care of things, and, you know, this was a tough one because we don't want to look like we don't care, but we have to move forward and get a handle on all of this. So again, thank you. Thank you to the council for unanimous vote on that, and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you.
I too want to thank everybody for coming and participating, as many people did. And I think I can speak for all of us that we know this is a starting point, and we intend to evolve as necessary with whatever happens, whatever comes our way. But we had to start somewhere, so thank you very much for being here.
I want to welcome everybody to 2024. I'm excited about this year. You know, we're going to do our best to make every day the best day for the city of Joliet. And we've got to create plans for the trucking situations we're stuck with, affordable housing we need to plan. So not only are we going to pay attention to the day-to-days and make them as best we can, we're going to start looking out in the years to come to make sure that 10 years from now, this community is more vibrant than it is now. I'm excited to work with this council, with our city manager, with the staff, and most importantly, with all of you. Tonight was so important that you came out and voiced your opinions for us. You found things that we can fix in something that we created. And that's what makes this community great. So thank you all very much for your participation and your valuable time. Thank you.
I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement? Aye. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I don't believe